Rob's just said to me that I should put this political stuff on at the front of this DVD. So that's what we're doing. We started off, as you'd realise, that we put the philosophy on first in actual practice. But so there you go. We've got this political section on first, and then while you're getting over it, enjoy our philosophy club. Again, see you later. I'll just give you an update on the political side of things coming up from South Australia. I've had a few emails, and one here from Mr. Faley says, I'll read it. Mr. Faley has asked that you please delete our office from your email listing and do not send us any further emails. So that's fairly clear, that one. Mr. Faley is the Deputy Premier. But Premier Mike Rand's sent in an automatic reply to say, please send your mailing address, so I might hear from him sometime. One of really the most interesting email, a very interesting email, is from Rob Kerrin. And I was quite pleased to receive this. Thanks, Rob. In fact, nothing less. Well, I'll toast you, Rob, for sending me a nice email. So, here's to Rob Kerrin. Dear John, Rob Kerrin MP has asked me to thank you for the DVD, part 1 of John Robertson. Mr. Kerrin has watched the DVD with interest and would appreciate receiving parts 2, 3 and 4. So that was nice to get, and that's from Fiona Gilchrist, personal assistant to Rob Kerrin, Liberal leader. So thanks, Rob, I'm glad you're looking at it. I got an email from Wendy Udding, and she just said, please send us the emails, and she looks forward to it. Now, I think in due course we'll get some interesting stuff from Wendy. I haven't got this chap's name on it, but it's from the Playford electorate, and he says you're welcome to forward the following DVDs to the Playford electoral office. Just haven't got his name on there. But he's the youngest. He's the youngest MP, as far as I know. There was one other email that came in from I think it's Michelle, the young lady in the Legislative Council. She's the youngest up there. Now, a very interesting email came in from Bob Miles. And he sent me a couple of attachments. And Cole, can you show this? I've headlined a bit of this. Do you want me to get closer, or are you right?
Fine. Okay.
Now, I've got a few transcripts, and I find it's very interesting because they've started the other Royal Commission down there, and from my point of view, the most interesting thing is to see something about Stephen Polaris, QC, the new Director of Public Prosecutions. And I can see that he's come in from Perth, and he's amazed to see what's going on in South Australia with what appears to be two battle lines, where there's one group that says the law stinks and the other group that says the law's perfect. Now, here's a quote from Stephen. Our criminal justice system is at risk. It's under siege, largely because it stands between the politicians, media and a headline, and that's a disgrace. And Mike Rand says, I think it's good that Mr. Polaris is prepared to stand up to politicians and the media. Now I want him to go and lock up a few criminals as well. Now, and then Graham Archer says, what are we to make of our very own Chicago shootout? Premier Capone versus Elliot DPP Ness and his Department of Untouchables. And Stephen Polaris QC, you can all read all this on my website, because I'm putting this on, of course. But it goes on more like this. Now the important thing is that Stephen Polaris has come in like a new broom, and he's like a new broom, and he doesn't even know there's a lawyers club. It goes on a bit further. Here's a question put to Bob Miles. In your opinion, is there a club of lawyers in this city? Bob Miles. Well, of course there is. If we look at the way in which recent cases have been decided, there is the clearest possible evidence that lawyers, when they're subjected to the legal process, get better outcomes than other people would if they're in similar situations. And this is what Stephen Polaris said. He can almost hear it all happening. Here's another lawyer, a member of the Lawyers Club, to which I must say I've not yet been invited to join in South Australia, but I'd be anxious to know where and when it meets and what the criteria are to join. Perhaps they should come to the Philosophy Club. Graham Archer said, and that may be simpler than he thinks. Just say, everything's fine. Yeah, sweep it under the rug, you bastards. Oh, I don't mean to get stirred up tonight. And let's not look back, like mateship. Now, something else. How do you join the club? You're golfing mates from the media. And there's a shot, apparently, was put onto the television of Jeff Roach from The Advertiser. They can join too if they're prepared to stick to the rules. Now here's a solution. This is put forward, I suppose, by Graham Archer. Maybe surprisingly simple. Hold those with a duty to uphold the due process, the police, lawyers, prosecutors, forensic pathologists, expert witnesses, accountable for the rules of office. Now, I won't bother to read anymore, that's enough. Look, there's a new Director of Public Prosecutions, Steve Polaris. And I think from what I've read of what he said to the press club, that he's a good bloke. And anyway, until he proves otherwise, let's say he is. Now, Steve Polaris, I want you to get some of your top guys that you talk about when you talk to the press club. You've got good staff, you tell us. Well, please, put some of your good staff onto this job, because you've got damn crooks running around, all around you, and you haven't seen them yet because you've only been over here 2 or 3 weeks. Well, it's here, and Bob Miles and Graham Archer and this other lady, people know about it, and I damn well know about it. Now, listen, I'm going to send you down this thing, and I want you to start an investigation. Why do we need a Royal Commission? Get your job done. Prosecute some of these damn bastards. I didn't mean to get worked up, but I'm so cross. I am so cross. Simon Lane was told by somebody up high to prosecute me. And look how Simmons has suffered. I won't say I've suffered, I have a good time, but it's not what I want to be doing. I've got better things to do. And you are here, and it's your job. You said to the press club, you can sort it all out. That's roughly what you said, and you've got all this high morals. Yes, and look, I believe you, mate. I believe you. You come from a good place, and you don't belong in this rotten, stinking place of Adelaide. You've come over here to clean it up. Well, clean it up, and start with Simon Lane. Get to Simon Lane. You are Simon. Who told you to prosecute Robertson? Now, somebody told him. It might have been Flavelle, his immediate boss. It might have been Sumner, and I think it was. It could have been Bannon, because they knew I was after him. Now, do your job. Get your good people that you talk about to get onto the case. Now, listen, mate. As far as I'm concerned, you're a good bloke. You're not tainted by this rotten crowd, and there's plenty of good people in Adelaide. And they're dying for an Elliot Ness to come in with your untouchables and clean the place up. Now, I don't know whether Mike Rand's a crook or not. He hasn't shown his hand. He's not replying, but he's not saying no, and he's not saying yes. Rob Kerrin's got a problem because he's got Rob Lawson as his shadow attorney general. So Rob's got a problem, but I think Rob's probably a good guy. I've never met him. Anyway, mate, I'll send this down to you, and we're taking a couple of weeks off, and I'll get my website in order, and I'll get all of this stuff put on the website. And I'm certainly laying a complaint that there's a conspiracy of lawyers, and they call it the Lawyers Club. Now, I haven't had any evidence before, but I've got it right here on the public documents that Graham Archer talks about a Lawyers Club, Bob Moles talks about a Lawyers Club. So that's two people I can call. Well, I don't want to call them. I'm a victim. I'm the victim. I shouldn't have to go out and search all these people out and get all the evidence. That's not my job. That's the police job or the prosecutor's job. Do your job. I'm the victim. Do your job. Well, I couldn't expect Rafe to do it. And you couldn't expect, well, I don't know whether Wendy Abraham could have done it or not. But you've got the job now, and you've got all these nice people you talk about. Well, thanks for coming over anyway. And I do ask you to look into this, because I don't want to have to keep fighting this damn thing out. I've been at it for 20 years or something. I don't know, it's that long. I prefer to forget all about it. It's better, more fun in the philosophy club. Okay, mate, I'll see you later. We're back in a fortnight, and I'll send it all down to you. See you later. Hello again, everybody. Forgotten how we started last time. Oh, well, we're into philosophy. That's right. We're not doing any political stuff until the end of the evening. But we're starting with philosophy, and the topic is life after death. And I'll tell you something that happened to me.
You started 2 minutes.
I'd seen a little ghost must have been 31 years ago, because about 30 years ago, I saw all these people up on the ceiling. Now, what happened was I woke up from being asleep, of course, and the ceiling was like glowing, like a fluorescent luminous ceiling, and there was Paul Newman just there. Not actually Paul Newman, but instantly I thought, gee, he looks like Paul Newman. And he was a full-length guy, and he's up there, and he's sound asleep. And behind him was another guy, and another one, and another one, and another one. And I looked up at all this, and because I'd seen a ghost the year before, I wasn't frightened. And I thought, don't get frightened this time. And I made sure I was awake. I looked up there, and I looked out the window, and I looked up there, and I looked over at the bed lamp, and I looked up. I was making sure I was awake, and I was awake. And I wasn't hallucinating. Well, they do say that in a time between sleep and awakeness, you can have these sort of things. But it was certainly not, so that could have been that. But anyway, what I saw was all these people. I won't call them bodies, but they were all sound asleep because they weren't moving. And I thought that's how they fit them all in, because it was like looking at the ocean, and it was like looking at the sea, and you know how the waves go out, and it goes out into infinity. And I thought, must be limbo I'm looking at, because there was nobody running around. They weren't dancing on the clouds or anything. And that's all I thought. And I didn't think very much more of it. But after about 12 or 15 seconds, remembering I was looking around, it just sort of fluttered like that and just disappeared. It was like switching the light off. So that's what I saw, and I didn't think too much of it. I just thought, oh well, that's how they fit them all in. So That's my experience.
Where was this building?
Oh, this was in Adelaide. It was when I was married, and my wife was alongside me. I didn't make any screaming noises or anything, so I didn't wake her up. And I just wished the experience had lasted a bit longer, but I was satisfied that I was awake.
What was it, an old house or new house? Or?
Well, wait, it's your turn. Oh, well, I'll answer your question. The house was middle-aged. It would have been about 60 years old or 50 to 60 years old at the time. I don't think the age had anything to do with it. I don't think there was any connection between... I didn't treat it as a ghost. I've seen a ghost. That's a different story when you have the topic. How's the time go?
It's gone, finished.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
Didn't want to stop you.
Oh, that's not... You're not allowed to do that. I wondered why I was still talking.
Notice that it stopped.
No. As soon as it goes bing, you've got to say
It doesn't
stop.
go bing though.
Oh, well, how do you know?
No, you don't.
Oh,
It
dear.
just stops going tick, tick, tick.
Your turn.
Yeah.
Well, your time. And the next time, you've got to thump the table. You've got to do it properly. There you go.
Stop.
Pass.
Yeah, I'll pass for the minute.
No, it's over to go.
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
yeah,
Colin.
you're the, yeah.
Over to you.
You're on, Cole.
Go.
Okay. Let's make it warm. Let's come in.
Yeah.
What's the journey? Okay. How long have I got?
2 minutes.
From?
Now.
Okay. Used to live in Denmark years ago, and me and friends slept in this hotel room. Every morning we'd wake up at 10 to 6. 10 past 6 we'd leave to catch the bus to work. One morning I woke up and it felt like I'd been drunk and the room was going round. Couldn't explain it. Turned the light on, all settled down. Looked across to Dave, who was laying in bed. I should say, you've got a bed here, a bed there, and a dressing table between the two. Woke up again at 6:15. No Dave. Bed clothes thrown back, gone. I was furious. When I got to work, he hadn't turned up. He turned up later in the day. I said to him, where have you been? And he said, well, nowhere. He said, I didn't come home last night. So I said, well, if you didn't come home, who'd you give your key to? He said, well, nobody. So I said, well, who was sleeping in your bed then? And he said, no one. Now, I've cut that story short because there's more to it. It goes on after, and I'll give you a bit more in a minute.
And well, about 10 minutes. You've got to go
Still
round
got a bit
circle.
time.
Oh boy. No, I'll only get partway through and it'll stop,
Yeah,
so I'll
all right.
pass.
It's your turn now.
Well, I've only got sort of one sort of story, and I told you, I think, before about the time in the cottage, about sitting out a 500-year-old cottage with my mum. So my mum said that there's always been a smell of smoke in the stairway, and she doesn't smoke, and us kids didn't smoke. And that somebody had slapped her over the bed, slapped her on the bottom, as she was making the bed one day. And I'd never had any freaky experiences, but this one time, for no apparent reason, as I was walking up the stairway, there was this weird, I just went like that as if I ducked down from something. And it was all like little sparkly, like little flecks sort of whooshed past me as if something was, as if someone's thrown something at you and you get out of the way. That was how it felt, but just for no reason. I was walking upstairs thinking about nothing and just went like that. That's the only weird experience I've ever had. I don't know what that was.
Well, with life after death...
Stop, shut up.
2 years, it finished.
With life after death, I suppose we're not talking about... Well, we could be
Well, that
talking
is a
about
life
ghosts.
after death. Is
Yes.
that what it is? That life after death? Is that
Well,
was
I
that
don't-
the figment of something that was that somebody's spirit? Were they stranded soul, like they say?
I found... I don't think I've told anybody about seeing the people up on the ceiling for a long time, many years, because it's not just... doesn't usually fit to a conversation. But the little ghost story that I'll get around to telling you when we have that as a topic, I often tell that because people often talk about ghosts And I find that once you start saying one of these weird, unexplainable things, then you find another person is also seeing something, and then they open up, because nobody wants to feel as if they're